so I guess I started experiencing clarity and more purpose and just my reason for being here and just things like that. So once I started understanding me on a level to where I didn't, because I had to, you have to start working through your traumas. And so once I got a chance to understand Krina, the Krina who were some of the issues were suppressing who I was, and so after I just discovered me, I just went on a teaching rampage,
Welcome to Her Drive Podcast, a female-focused interview series with women of the world discussing their road trips to success. I'm your host, Cindy Kremblatt, a travel expert, business owner, and curious spirit with a knack for meeting fascinating women. Please join me as I hop in the passenger seat and chat with these ambitious women about what drives them, twists and turns, and those pedal to the metal moments. Let's drive. Hello and welcome back to Her Drive Podcast. Today we have a very interesting guest who I don't even know if she remembers meeting me, but this was a few years ago, pre-COVID. I was walking through the Dallas Farmers Market, and I'm a huge fan of farmers markets because of obviously the beautiful produce and things, but the foodstuffs that are there. And then you also meet amazing artisans that are creating fabulous works of art and products and just things that you don't see in a typical retail space. And anyway, I was walking through the market and I saw these little jars and bottles and potions and lotions and elixir looking things. And there stood Miss Krina Lee of Currently Evolving Yoni Care. And we weren't able to connect a few years ago to discuss her journey, but everything happens in divine time. So here she is now. Welcome to Her Drive, Krina. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am fantastic.
Excited to do this podcast.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm excited to have you. Well, Krina, kind of just tell me who you are and what is it that you do? What is this Yoni Care thing, if people don't know what that is?
Okay, so Yoni is a Sanskrit word for the womb. So it's our womb space. And how I got into it's almost like my purpose in life is just to make women feel good from the inside out. And I take that to my core, And so I started out as a hairstylist. And even in that process, I knew my gifts. And so I was like, okay, you know what? Source, God, whatever, people want to call them. I was just like, you know what? Send me people that I could pour into and vice versa. So they're coming thinking they're getting their hair done, but at every time it would be something about what the conversation, because we all know that at the hair salon, your hairstylist is like your therapist. And so, they will come in, we would get into these conversations, and I was able to just motivate and make them feel good from the inside, connecting the inside with the beauty that they just wanted on the out. And so once I retired from doing hair, I was just kind of like, you know what? I had to stick within the purpose. I moved to New York for about 7 months. Me and my daughter, she was like 5. I don't know what we were thinking, but we had a blast. And I got into a lot of holistic health. And so I started changing my deodorants and changing my toothpaste. And I'm like, wait a minute. So if I'm worried about what's in these products, what's in the products that I'm using in my womb for my, our vagina. So I started doing more research, started finding different herbalists to connect with that were start taking courses about herbs and things like that. And that's how I created the plant-based feminine care. So it's all vegan, no chemicals, no fragrance. And it actually helps heals while it's doing this cleansing and things like that.
Okay. Well, that's it. That's the episode, everybody. Thank you. No, I'm just kidding. But what an amazing recap of the journey that you've been on and, a summary of it all. I want to dive way deep into all of this. So where did you grow up and kind of, did you have any type of holistic exposure as a younger child?
So I grew up in Fort Worth, and I didn't have a lot of exposure. Well, yes and no. I had an aunt who was always into like different herbs, and so if we would get a cold, she'd be stirring up some Padiaka tea, you know. And I'm thinking every time I go into her house, it smells like herbs, and I was just so disturbed, right? And here I am now with cabinets full of herbs. So it's I guess after a while, I started feeling like, because then once I started making the yoni steams, my mom was like, your grandmother used to sit her on a bucket, and that she would have different herbs in there, and she would have to sit on a bucket just like we do our yoni steams, but it would help her ulcers. And so, yeah,
Mm,
after I got into it, I realized there was a history.
that's interesting. So
Yeah.
I wonder if there was any type of imprint on you from that early exposure.
It had to. I don't know if it was the imprint, like something that I was aware of, but I think it was like, what do they call it? Like your ancestry type thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Things that
yeah,
you're
yeah.
just connected to. So that's where I feel like it comes from.
That makes sense. It makes total sense. There's so many things now as I grow older. I'm in my early 30s. I am I wanted to get away from farm life and like the holistic, like hands in the earth and
Yeah.
like just simplicity of being within nature and like out of the rush and like growing your own foods and all of these different things. And like getting away from like I call it like the hokiness of it all. But now, fast forward, I'm like, all I want to do is buy land and like have my horse and like ride around and grow my food and just like be one with the
Yeah.
universe.
Nature. I listen, we're
Yeah.
kind of experience on that because once I moved back from New York, and I was speaking on my grandfather earlier, he would tell me like, "You need to slow down. You're never gonna find a husband just moving the way that you do." And I'm like, so when I moved back from New York, it was so weird that just like how you said, I just wanted to be somewhere like some witchy bushes somewhere, just my house and my daughter and my plants and herbs and just slow it down and just, you know what I mean? Connect. I love connectivity to anything that's just here.
Absolutely. Totally. Um, so let's go back into your story a bit. So you had a little bit of exposure to this, and then how did you decide that you wanted to go into hairstyling?
So my mom was a hairstylist. She never got a chance to really just work in a salon because she couldn't really stand up for long periods of time. She struggled with ulcers and things like that whenever she was younger. But like a lot of the skills, and a lot of my creativity I get from my mom. She is one of those people who just likes to create. So yeah, I just kind of just she just kind of guided me a little bit, and it gave me a space to where anytime I wanted to create something or do something, I would just go and do it, like I had no fear about anything. So with hair, like I said, I wanted to make people feel good from the inside out. And it kind of started, in high school when you're doing your friend's hair, like we all coming with the same ponytails and all that good stuff. So yeah, that's how I got started.
Very cool. So you're I mean, I have a hairstylist. She's fantastic and she's definitely definitely a therapist. And I call her
Yeah.
hands healing hands. So you're working in that industry, and then you start to learn more about products and honestly, like all the products in the a lot of the products in the United States are so laced with terrible things for us,
Yes,
right? So
absolutely.
how did you get into that journey?
So I don't with when I was doing hair, I wasn't really into anything holistic. After a while, I started kind of making my own shampoos because you start, hearing about the parabens and just all of the fragrance. And so I just kind of was making milder versions. And what's so weird about it, I never you know what, and how I had this package. I don't know, have you ever heard of doTERRA? I mean, is it doTERRA essential oils?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I love that line. And I got a package to my house. It was called a family physician's kit. And I was like, how did this get to my house? And I tried to give it away on Facebook so many times. And I was like, well, just let me just look at it. And so once I started doing research on myrrh and frankincense and all of that, that's when I started making the shampoos. But I would have never thought that just learning about those essential oils would bring me to this point, you know? And I always tell people, I feel like I've lived every life that I've wanted to. Because anytime I wanted to change, I would just change it. You know, if I'm getting tired with doing hair, because it takes a lot, you know, from me. And I started realizing, like, I'm an empath. I can't take on everybody's issues on a daily basis because I would be drained. I would have to do hair one day and take a break the next. And so then with the my products, I was able to take just that knowledge and create my entire Currently Evolving line. Yeah.
That's so interesting. So are you still selling? I mean, now I know you from like your Balls Deep and the Yoni Care and the steam products that I saw. But tell me a bit more about like what you were thinking and feeling and experiencing as you were diving more into holistic products.
I think how I got to that space when I started to create that, because I didn't start to create my line until I moved back from New York. And so I started to realize, like, I've accomplished a lot. And I call it the America's depression. You know how you can function and not, you can just put on this image and go out and get it done, you know? So I took 3 to 4 months and I meditated for probably 2 hours per day, not just straight, but, you know, like a combination of 2 hours a day. And I just started asking God, like, everything that's inside of me, please expose it to me. Let me know. Let me da-da-da-da. And so I got the name Currently Evolving. And then I got the name Currently Evolving Retreat. And I'm like, because I wanted to do retreats. I wanted to do something to where I could bring women together and teach them what I, you know, learned just on that healing journey. Because I started experiencing clarity and more purpose and just my reason for being here and just things like that. So once I started understanding me on a level to where I didn't, because I had to, you know, you have to start working through your traumas. And so once I got a chance to understand Krina, the Krina who, you know, where some of the issues were suppressing who I was, like, and so after I just discovered me, I just went on a teaching rampage, you know, and yeah, it was just clarity for me and just understanding who I am and gaining more self-worth. And for me, that's what I put into my products.
That's beautiful. Yeah. So, how did you structure your meditations? Were you following a specific guide or guru? Were you self-designing your meditations? What did that look like?
So I was going through my journey, and it's so crazy because people just kind of pop up in your life, but I was meditating every day, and sometimes I would put my thoughts on Facebook, and people started just following my journey. And this one guy messaged me. He was like, have you ever heard of Abraham Hicks? And I was like, well, no, you know? So he was like, I want you to listen to Abraham Hicks. And so I started listening to Abraham Hicks, and I was confused because I'm like, who is this Esther person? Who, you know? I know. I don't know if you've ever heard of Abraham Hicks, but, you know, it's a whole ordeal. And I just kind of dove into it because, like, I'm a visual person, and I was able to understand life more and like creation more and my purpose and all of that type of stuff. So I just really kind of dove into like those teachings. And so when I was asking Source, I was like, you know what? People need to know this, but I can't go out and just tell the Black community, hey, I listened to this woman who's channeling this spirit. And so what I did was I was like, okay, Source, help me deliver this same message to people in a way that they understand it, you know? Mm-hmm. And so I just kind of started doing that. And when I started doing that, it was just bringing me more clarity, me more understanding. And I was helping people. And it was just so weird how it all just came about. It was this lady, she had a Facebook group. It was like, I think it was called The Winos or something like that. And they would just talk about different things. And I had all of this knowledge built up inside of me. So I just poured it out into that group. and they had a vendors event, and that was the ladies was like, hey, I hear you talking about the yoni steams and your oils and the yoni eggs that you use for your healing and all that stuff. Could you make it and bring it to the thing? And I was like, well, sure. And so I created probably about, I only had like probably my yoni wash, the yoni oil, the yoni mist, and maybe like some bath steams and stuff like that. And yoni eggs. And I took it to this vending event and literally had to create a website the next day.
Wow. That's just amazing.
Yeah, it's been a fun ride. Like the way that it took off and just even with that. So my whole, it's so weird because I get to do two things at once at this point. I get to, well, they say three because the way that I live helps people because I live super freely, right? And it helps people realize that they can live freely within their own lives. And then I've helped so many women like regulate their cycles and just, all of that. And then I get to speak to them and speak to their hearts and speak to some of the things that I healed within myself that a lot of women go through. And so, yeah, it's just been rewarding.
It sounds extremely rewarding, and for all of us women to heal what's going on in our womb and other traumas is so important, not only as individuals, but as parents, as sisters, as friends. And it really makes a better, more conscious world. So you're doing great work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Of course. So let's talk to me a bit more about, you're learning. I mean, how do you know what herbs and mixtures are healing and what and like what those modalities are actually doing? So if someone's never used a tincture or an oil or anything like what you're making now, like give me an education on all of that if you can.
What happens is I took a holistic herbalist course, and so I just learned about the different herbs that help with just your womb. Like even if you drink red raspberry leaf tea, it helps regulate your cycle and it helps decrease cramping. And a lot of women don't know that, And so when you mix it with yarrow, that helps with it. Yarrow is an herb that helps with blood flow. Let's say because a lot of women have like 7-day periods, 7-day cycles, right? It lasts for 7 days. So what like yarrow does, it balances your body to where it could get your bodies to start having those 3-day cycles to where like you're supposed to be. So it helps cleanses out your body, cleanse out your blood to where your body's functioning like it's supposed to. And so, so once you figure what all of these different herbs do, then you can put them together. So I have different herbs for like endometriosis, fibroids, that help shrink fibroids. And like, it's so weird because I have a lot of customers who have had hysterectomies. And they were like, yeah, I wish that I would have known about this. And I wish that, my mother would have known about that. It's like, because they have gone through so much trying to, it's like stop the bleeding and stop all of these different issues that's going on with their wombs. And like their friends that met me, you know what I mean, have like, I've had so many stories where women are calling me like, yeah, well, my fibroids were like this. And then after like 6 months, it was, shrinking a little better. And so their doctors are like, well, what's going on? It's like, well, oh no, I'm doing stuff with Krina Lee. Like when women that have like maybe like a yeast infection, you'll go to the doctor and get something like a antibiotic. And the antibiotics are so strong that it takes away the good yeast. It takes away the bad yeast, but the good yeast as well. And so, it's just an ongoing battle. So just with my different blends, I've been able to help women just achieve and get back to normal. Because like my beliefs are everything that God put down here for us, different herbs and plants, they go perfectly with our ecosystem. Mm-hmm. So it's just a perfect balance with nature.
That's beautiful and so interesting. So you have different types of products. So talk to me a bit about like the best way for a person to have optimized, like an optimized yoni. Like what should we be doing daily, weekly, monthly? What does that look like?
So this is a normal, I call it like a self-love ritual. You know what I'm saying? Just something that you do that makes you feel good. And so I love when women use, I would always suggest that they use the feminine wash. It doesn't have chemicals or fragrance, and you don't need that much to cleanse your yoni. 2 puffs and it's just like, oh, you know. And so I always suggested the women use the yoni oil twice a day. If you shower twice a day, maybe in the morning, at night, or just whenever you after your shower, use the yoni oil. And what that does is it helps, like especially in the summertime, it balances your pH, regulates your cycle. Like once your cycle comes, you'll realize if you use the yoni oil every day, you'll see that it decreases your cramping. Like you won't even know unless you have like your cycle planner on your like an app or something. Your cycle will just come and you will be like, oh crap, it's here again. Because it makes your body flow naturally without the pain, because that's some of those things. Cramps are, this is something that's irregular. We're not supposed to always experience that. So the cleaner our diet is, it helps. So yeah, and then the mist, I created the mist because I love yoga, but I would always go to Target afterwards. You know what I mean? Like I'm out. And so, you're supposed to go home, shower after hot yoga. So I made the mist for us women that's like, you know what? Because it's not like we're funky or anything, but sweat can make you have yeast infections and certain things like that. And so I created the mist so you could just kind of do a little spray. And I want to do some wipes soon. Spray and just go on by your day, go run your Target errands and then go home, So, yeah, and I do yoni steams once a month. I always suggest meditating. I love to do like the yoni yoga Kegels. And so I probably do that every day. That's kind of part of my morning meditation and yoga situation type thing. So everything that I created around making you feel good while you're doing it.
Interesting. So for anyone who doesn't know what a yoni Kegel is, can you describe what it is and how to do it?
Yes. So let me see how you describe it without. So you're just really moving your vaginal muscles. You're just kind of contracting them. And what happens with that is strengthens your pelvic floor muscles. It strengthens your pelvic floor. It strengthens your urinary tracts because, kind of when you have a lot of women, after they have babies, they sneeze and pee, So it strengthens all of that. With your pelvis floors hold your uterus and your bladder and all of that. So you don't want it to have like a prolapse, so kind of like what they call it. And so, yeah, the yoni Kegels just tighten up your vaginal muscles, and not just for sex, just for it to run smoothly, So, yeah, that's what yoni Kegels are. And you can do them after birth and, all of those good things. Keeps you tight.
Keeps you tight. Yeah. And from leaking, springing a leak. Yes. Are you familiar? Oh gosh, what's the woman's name? Her name's Kim something. Oh gosh, but she's known for like lifting things with her vagina.
I've probably seen it. I do not suggest you lift anything with the vagina is one of the most sensitive and delicate parts of our bodies, So I do not suggest.
Right, it's Kim Anami, vaginal weightlifting kung fu. It's very interesting to see what her process is, and she has these yoni eggs she attaches things to and talks all about it. But yeah, I was like, wow, who knew that our vag could be so strong?
Oh, please. We produce whole babies out of this bad mamma jamma. Expand. It can do so much.
Absolutely. So interesting. Okay, so Krina does not recommend weightlifting with your yoni, but doing yoni yoga on the reg, which now that we're talking about it, I'm like, I'm going to start doing it right now.
Right? I'm telling you.
Oh gosh, as a younger woman, I would do it. I would just be like sitting at a bar or at my desk, just like, oh yeah. It's an interesting feeling. And like, to me, it almost starts to stimulate some sexual energy there.
Absolutely. And that's what, all of those things are healthy, And I call it, I'm like, yeah, you do your yoni Kegels and you could snatch souls.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like you could, I have a very naughty sense of humor, but like you could be like looking someone in the eye, having a very intense conversation, but be doing your your yoni yoga, like in laughing on the inside. But anyway, um, well, I think it's just really amazing that you were able to find through your meditations and connecting with others this beautiful way of helping women to self heal. And I remember when we met, you were talking about like yoni steaming, and I actually brought this up to a few girlfriends like a month ago, and I'm like, have you heard about this? And I have not done it. And they were shocked. They're like, no. And like there was some giggling around it. Like, yeah, you sit on this throne and then you steam your ladies' parts.
Yeah.
But there's something to it. So can you describe this experience and the purpose of it all, and how women can get into steaming their downstairs mix up?
Yeah, the downstairs mix up. So a lot of women do it for different reasons. I do a yoni steam once a month, like after my cycle, and it just helps clear everything, rebalance my hormones, rebalance because my hormones need to be balanced after my cycle, and it just feels amazing. So what you do is you get like normally people get probably like a 1 or 3 ounce bag of yoni steam. You only need about 1 ounce into 1 ounce, and so you boil water, or they have like little steaming pots and things like that now that you can just kind of put under your yoni throne. And so you have your boiling water, and then you put your teas in it, and you kind of let it steep for a little bit. If it's if it's just a regular pot and you're just putting it under like your yoni seed, then you just sit down immediately and what happens is the molecules from the herbs, they just kind of go into a vapor, right? And it just kind of travels up your womb space, and it's like magic. It just goes up into your space and does exactly what it's supposed to be doing based on the blend that you use. Another thing that I absolutely love about it, it steams your vag and your butt. And so it's like getting a facial for your vag as well. So it's just super soft and just, oh my God, like if you get a wax and then like a couple of days get a yoni steam, oh my God, somebody will hunt you down, right?
Oh,
I was dating somebody. He goes, "What yoni products did you use today?" Like he was just, I was building my brand while dating him, and he was just like, "Oh my God, like that is like it's just like oh my goodness, da, da, da." But it just makes sure, just like when you're steaming your face and how it opens your pores and all that good stuff. It does the same thing for your the outer labia and your vulva and your butt. And the inside as well. So when the herbs go into the inside of your vagina, that's when all the magic and the curing happens. It just depends on what you're using it for. If you're doing fibroid, if you have like it's like fibroids in your on your ovaries, then I would probably suggest steaming maybe twice a month or once a month for a long period of time, and it just helps the shrinking process. So let's say you do have to have surgery, or you do have to have like laser surgery or fibroid removal. It shrinks it to the point to where it's not going to be so severe. And that's what I love about it. Like if you have like irregular cycles, you do the yoni steams, and every month your cycle will come on its date. And often when you steam regularly, your cycle will sync with the moon cycle. So you'll like have your period on the full moon every month. It's really cool how using these products, it just connects you with the earth. And that's one of the things I love about it as well. You just feel like you're a part of everything, the bigger picture. Yeah.
And I think so many of us are wanting to move in that direction.
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, I love it. Okay, well, I did notice on your site you have the release ex-boyfriend energy. You got to get all those demon seeds, all that energy out of you. So how does this particular magical herb set and candle work? If somebody buys this, how do they use it?
So that has like different herbs like witch hazel and sage. And so that's like a whole different mixture. It does have like, I do put like lavender and chamomile in there just to kind of soften it up a bit. So that one is something I do that's more of like a ritual type of thing. So once you're like, for me, if I'm breaking up with somebody, I want your energy not only out of my head, but out of my womb space, right? And so that particular herb, you have to set your intentions with that package. And so there's different blends that helps cleanse the yoni. You know what I mean? Like you want to make sure nobody's semen DNA is in you. I'm glad that you're open because I'm getting a little comfortable now. But yeah, you just want to make sure you purge all of that from your space, right? And you want to cut that cord. And so the yonis, the release your ex yoni steam comes with a bay leaf, even comes with like a candle. And I like to kind of roll my candles. I'll have you seen the candles where they have like the different herbs on them? And so
Yeah.
I put those in there with it, and it just helps you to connect. I want women to connect back to themselves and release that energy. I always think that if you're with somebody, their energy stays with you. If you're with a narcissist, you really got to do some work. It's beyond.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's beyond, but you want to start somewhere. So that when that next person comes into your life, you don't have this lingering energy, around you. And so that's what the release my ex yoni steam is about.
Interesting. I love it. Well, now I'm going to be buying all the products, all the thrones to steam everything else out. So what else do you have that for us women who are, I feel like I am a bit, even though I try to be connected, I'm still disconnected from proper self-care in certain areas, and the yoni being one of them. Whereas like talking about ex-boyfriends and things, like a few years ago, coming on 3 years ago, I was very connected to myself, my spirit, like using my rose quartz yoni egg for meditations. Like one of the best meditations I ever had was with my yoni egg, and it just felt so opening and healing. But then as I was in this relationship, I became extremely disconnected from my body. This person felt threatened by me masturbating and practicing what I called like sex magic with myself, which is what I use to manifest things. So outside of, using your release ex-boyfriend energy and yoni steam, like what else would you recommend for women who are wanting to just get connected with themselves and the earth and these more holistic treatments through what it is that you've created for us? Like what would be like on like a 1 month period? Like what would you recommend we women doing throughout that month?
I would recommend, even just set apart from the products, I would definitely recommend writing and journaling, right? Putting down what you want your space, what do you want your life to look like in this moment, right? Like what do I want to create? Because a lot of times we live in a reality, but we're created to create, right? And so if you're living in reality, you're looking at what's already done, but we're made to create the next day, right? So once you start journaling and writing what you want to put out there, your subconscious does not know that that's not true.
Right.
So it starts to happen. So I would start journaling. I would meditate, and definitely do your yoni eggs with the rose quartz. Because like you said, that was probably one of the best. When I was meditating, when I first started my journey, I was doing that with the rose quartz yoni egg. And so I'm so glad that you brought that up. Oh my God, my heart just bursted open. I was able to get in touch with my vulnerability, and just all of those different things. And so with the products, I will always suggest that you do it and you use your products in a way that's like a self-love ritual to yourself. Like I want people to feel like this is a love note to you. Like I'm doing this, it makes me feel good, because once you use the yoni wash, it's kind of like just putting clouds on your vagina. It's like a foam wash, it's very light. And I always say that it makes the yoni as pure as water, right? But that allows your natural soft essence to emerge, because we all have our little nectar smell, you know what I mean? And it's, especially if you're eating healthy, it's a nice little subtle aroma, scent, or whatever. And so I love that about my wash. And then when you just put just a little bit of the yoni oil on and put your pretty panties on, you're like feeling good, you know? And
Mm-hmm.
so I love when women create use my products as a love story. So even when women that have BV, right? I've had so many customers that have had chronic BV, and they were just so ashamed. And I've created a world to where women will walk up to me like, "Girl, I had BV," and da da da. They're just so comfortable, you know, because I'm like, this. We're talking about our sacred spaces, and so I created this kit. It's called the Womb Wellness Kit. It comes with yoni pearls. I know we haven't touched on those. Comes with 2 packages of yoni pearls, yoni steam, 1 ounce yoni steam, 1 ounce of bath tea, and a sage stick, and a little lipstick yoni oil. And so I have instructions, and so you just kind of use your pearls. And I tell women you have to take showers, so you do that before your cycle starts, and then you use the pearls after your cycle, after it's over, so like 3 days before and maybe 4 days after your cycle. And that, because what happens is you're loosening up any toxins that's in your womb, and then when you have your cycle, it brings everything out, right? It brings everything out, the dead skin, the shedding. So when you use the yoni pearls afterwards, it really pulls the toxins that was like, you know, that's released through the blood and all of those good things. And then a week after you do the last set of pearls, then you can do your yoni steam, and that's going to make you feel amazing. After your yoni steam, I have the bath tea, so you can go run your bath and put your flowers in there. There's calendula, there's lavender, what's the chamomile, and just different blue lotus. And so it's just that helps your skin feel great, and then you're able to relax. So you've healed yourself in a way that's really spiritual. It doesn't feel like you're at a doctor's office and you're taking pills. You know what I mean? You're just really taking out the time to heal yourself and, you know, tell you, hey, Virginia, we're going to be great, you know? And so I just created it to where we feel good while we're healing ourselves. You know, and then there's like a little treat of a bath, you know what I'm saying? Like a little bath soak at the end of the 3 weeks of the pearls and the yoni steam. And then you can light your sage and create, you know, just your atmosphere and clear out any energies and all of that good stuff. So yeah, I just want women to use it in a way that's like a love note to themselves.
That's so lovely and beautiful, and the perfect describer. And I think so many of us women do not take the time to practice any true form of like self-care, slow down, and just
And can I
be
piggyback off that? That's something I think this year I've kind of not mastered, but I understand more. You know, especially with me being an entrepreneur, I have time to wake up in the morning and, you know, just do some yoga, and I'll go make coffee. I will have 2 hours of just loving me. You know, I will lay out in my hammock and just all of these different things that at first I would want to do them, but I would rush straight through everything. Okay, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta do this. And now my mind just like, you know, well, let me have my coffee. And I'll, you know, and even when I make my coffee, I'm like putting good intentions in there, and I do my little pour over, so it takes a little bit of time, you know, and you smell the aromas. And I just create a space of gratitude and thankfulness with my little morning routine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, it just sounds like you're living a very orgasmic life. You know, you're so
With myself. Yes, absolutely. And you have to be careful too. Like, cause when you were saying with your ex, I didn't want to interrupt you, but sometimes men are attracted to women with high energy, right? And beautiful energy. And they steal it. They steal it.
Damn right they do.
Steal it. And you're thinking you're in love, and they're draining the hell out of you, you know? And so with my womb wellness teachings, I teach red flags. Listen, hey, because you're just like this being that's glowing when you put all that stuff into yourself, or just being like the amazing person that you are. Men want that more than, it's like, I need that for myself because I don't know how to create it within me, right? And so I just teach women to be mindful of that. That's why I even stopped doing hair, because that's how it started to feel. And it's just like, okay, that's not fair to me.
Yes. It's not. It absolutely is not. And like, I think everyone has their own version of their experience in being drained, but essentially, when I don't feel energized, when I feel drained after being with a person, that's a sign to me that's probably not a good interaction. Obviously, people sometimes are low and they need a little bit of a pick me up or
But you know what? That's holding space. That's not giving them your energy.
yes, that's a good point. That's a very good point. And with my ex, I thought that he was just going through something a little sad when we met, but my body, talk about like somatic systems and things like that, knew that that there was something more to it. Like when he touched my cheek for the first time, it felt like broken glass in my tummy. And the more time I spent with him, the more I felt less like me.
Yeah.
So I love that you're teaching people how to recognize these signs and to step back and stand within their own light and not give it away. And that's where I'm at. So I'm glad that we're talking now. Is like, I'm trying to figure that out, because I discovered the light, discovered the power, and then noticed that it was just being siphoned from me. So I don't want that to happen again. You want to stand in it. So how do you stand in your power and your light and in your goodness?
Well, keep going. I'm sorry.
No, and then protect it. Tell me more.
So I now what I do is I'm very observant. I let things unfold. So if I'm dating someone or anybody come into my space, I can have fun with you all day, and they don't know this. I'm observing everything about them, right? And so because it's important for me so that I can stay happy and healed and whole, because I have a job to do, right? And so once somebody comes into my space and they're trying to disrupt that, and that's my purpose, you have to go immediately. So in this space, it's like no nonsense. I don't need closure. And men they're so scared of me at this point, because they're like, I would love to talk to you, but it's always a but. And it's like, there wouldn't be a but if you would heal yourself. You know what I'm saying? There wouldn't be a but if you wouldn't be scared of me if you knew yourself, right? Because a lot of men is like, I can't date you because I can't pull the same BS on you. That's the translation, right? I don't know how to stand with a woman like you because these other women let me drain them, or gaslight them, or whatever the case may be. So I even through me standing in my power, it teaches men that if you want a little girl, you have to go get one. You can't date me. So they will sit back and watch my greatness from a distance, right? They won't. Yeah. And I have taught men, don't interrupt me. If you know me personally, the men that I know personally, they will not interrupt me if they know that they cannot deal here. Because because they would have to evolve into their best self to even be in my space. Because I'm going to recognize you and I will dissect you. It's like, okay, well now it's like, because I'm going to not look at you like somebody I'm dating. I'm going to look at you like an assignment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, my dear, so you kind of told me about like your mornings, and I love that the slow start and the me time and all of that. If you could go back in time and give your younger self some words of advice, what age would you be, and what would you say?
I would say fuck everything. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sorry if I curse, but don't worry about anything. Be yourself. And be yourself. And which is so weird because we're all trained by our parents to be what they want us to be, So, and I would also tell myself that I'm good. You're perfect. You're perfectly made, because I went through life on my younger years, just like not knowing who I am, putting on this mask and not really feeling whole. Like, it's so funny how I stand now. And like with me raising my daughter, I get to see her confidence that I didn't have, and I just nourish it. And so, I would just say, you know what? You're good. You're a whole kid. You're a whole person. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're perfect just the way that you are. Your ideas and your visions, they're perfect because they help your life unfold, right? And yeah, I would just encourage myself and let me know that everything is going to be okay. Everything is going to be okay. Use your voice. Love, be vulnerable, be open to that, not have your walls up all the time. And so yeah, I would just encourage me to just to be more confident with who I am, and just let me know that everything is going to be good, because I was a young woman just feeling like I was going to be dead by 30. I don't know why. And it's
Mhm.
probably because like I don't feel like I had the proper wording of people pouring into me. Even when I started my journey, when I started to dismiss people's ideas about me, people started being upset about that because I'm not entertaining your trauma bond anymore.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's fantastic advice, and I think all of us could definitely take a bit of that away with us. Well, Krina, is there anything else you'd like to share with the audience about your products, your journey, life in general?
Yeah, I would tell people just to even if you're an A-type personality, once you wake up in the morning, let that be your time. Know that you're whole and you're worthy. Use products that nurtures your body as well as whatever else it's supposed to do. Use organic products. Put intentions in everything, even as something as simple as a glass of water. As I drink this water, may it nourish my body and da 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 and hydrate me and all of those good things. Just be intentional. I would also say follow your instincts. Meditate and get clarity. So anytime that something comes up, follow that instinct, because it's almost like people don't really understand. Like when you're following your instincts, it's almost like a God GPS system. If you follow, you're like, wait, hold on, I'm exactly where I want to be. But so once those instincts or that download happens, you know what I mean? And I call it downloads because it's a thought that you didn't think. So source had to put it there just to kind of, and when source is talking to you, it's always a silent, hey, do this. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Do that. And like even when came to Houston, I just relocated to Houston, and like I was telling y'all, I was a hairstylist, years ago, and I just started doing a whole lot of like candle work. Like I would put like different herbs from my apothecary into like white candles and things like that. And I would just like, God, whatever you have for me, expose it. I want it now. 3 weeks later, I got a call to do hair for a movie. So I had to renew my license. And I've done 2 movies since I've been here doing hair and makeup. And so yeah, I would just tell women, make your rituals, make your the products that you use a love story to yourself, especially Currently Evolving Yoni Care, because even when I'm in here making my products, I feel great. I meditate before I make my products. Like I don't make my products on a bad day. If I'm feeling something, I'm not gonna make my products. I'm not even gonna walk into my apothecary. So I put so much love into them, and I think that on top of everything else, because my intention is to heal. My intention is for you to have a beautiful experience with my products. And so I think that's why we've been so successful.
Well, I think that is so phenomenal, and it makes total sense to me. Well, thank you so much, Krina of Currently Evolving Yoni Care. It's been such a pleasure to chat with you. And before we go, can you just tell everyone where they can find you and your products?
So you can find me on Instagram at Currently Evolving Yoni Care. And my website is currently evolvingyoni.com. Um, I'm also going to be doing like a little mini podcast with me and some of the girls from the movie set that I just did, because they call me the spiritual person on set, right? So I'm doing hair and makeup and a therapist yet again. So I would get calls like, Krina, I know you're spiritual. How do you feel about this? So we're just gonna get together and have like the girl chat that we had behind the scenes. So yeah, Currently Evolving YoniCare.com, pretty much everything. You can find me on what is that called? So many apps.
All the platforms.
Snapchat, all the platforms. Yeah, Currently Evolving.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for your time, Krina. I look forward to restocking on some of your supplies that I now know about in addition to what I already have, and to watching your journey. It's been a true pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed this. And I hope I wasn't too nervous.
No, you are absolutely perfect. So perfect. Thank you so much, my dear.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Her Drive with Cindy Kramblatt. If you want to know more about today's guest or know a fascinating woman you'd love for me to interview, please see the show notes, visit Instagram or her-drive.com. And please, 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 if you love the show, leave a review on iTunes. Thanks for riding along and subscribe to join our next woman and her drive to success.